Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of NinaRibena's Art Journal Prompts and More. It's March week 2 and time for another Junk It Up project. Now this is part 2 because I started this project last week for the mood board prompt, and I know that I had lots of questions in the Facebook group last week because the mood board is the prompt for the whole of this month. I want you to take inspiration from the mood board, and you'll have already seen a picture of the mood board. I'll leave it again at the end of the video, and of course you'll be able to download it from the Facebook group itself. But this is the project so far. That's what it looks like. I just love this so much. Now, the Junk It Up element is the cardboard box itself, because of course, for those of you that haven't seen the video from last week, I used an Amazon box to create this journal stroke folio, and that's how it started off. And this was inspired by a video that I saw by Tracie Fox, and again I'll leave the link to Tracie's video in the description box below, because this was what inspired me to actually go and do something with all the Amazon boxes that I had been hoarding onto. And the light bulb of course went on. That's how you do it. So thank you ever so much, Tracie. You are really an enabler. But as I say, that's how far I've got so far. Now this is the paper pack that I used, which is a Do Crafts Paper Mania pack called Eastern Opulence. The papers in this are just absolutely gorgeous. So what I want to do today is finish off this project. The junk element is this cardboard box itself, and I just want to fill it with some really nice and pretty things. I'm using a piece of craft cardstock to make myself a notebook to go in the pocket. I folded it in half and cut it to the right size to fit, and I'm just gluing on some of the patterned paper from the paper pack with some Fabri-Tac, focusing on getting close to the edges. I like Fabri-Tac because you get more or less an instant bond. It's very strong, permanent, and doesn't buckle your pages. So I'm just lining my paper up to the outside edge and then just smoothing over it with my hand just to get rid of any air bubbles, and then I just repeat it on the back. And you can see I'm using a piece of parchment paper just to put in between the folds, just to stop any glue getting on the inside of my notebook. So the glue's had a couple of minutes to set, and so I'm just trimming away the excess paper. I'm using a piece of sari fabric to create my spine. It's the same fabric that I used in the folder itself, and I'm just going to use a bone folder to make a mark in the centre of the fabric. So I fold it in half and then use my bone folder so that I get a nice crease, and this is just so that I can centralise the fabric on the spine so that it's nice and even on both sides. So I'm happy that I've got a nice crease. I pop it on the spine just to double check that it's nice and even, and then I just glue it down with a small amount of Fabri-Tac just to hold it in place, because I want to whiz this through my sewing machine. Well, so far so good. Here I am showing you my sewn in fabric spine looking all nice and neat, and I'm actually feeling quite proud of myself. But I had the bright idea to sew the signature in on the sewing machine, and that's where it all went horribly wrong. I completely messed it up. So I had to create a new cover, this time, as you can see, using different sari fabric because I'd run out of the purple. So I'm just putting my signature together now. I'm using regular A4 copier paper paper. I've got 12 sheets which I've just folded in half and trimmed to size. I've rounded off the edges of the signature and the cover as well, and now I'm just making some marks to sew it together. So I've marked the centre and an inch at either end, and I'm using a pokey tool just to poke through where I've made those marks. Now I'm using a phone book just to stop me piercing my table. I'm using some strong cotton thread to sew my signature into the journal. I've cut it 4 times the width of my notebook, and I'm folding it in half as well for added strength. And then you'll see in a second that I go in through the centre, then out at one of the ends. It really doesn't matter which end you go in through. So there we go, going in through the top there, and then out through the bottom, and then back in through the centre. This is just a very simple pamphlet stitch. And I just remove the clips, make sure that it's nice and tight, and just tie it in a double knot. I'm just making a pocket for the middle section of my folio, so you can see that I'm using my scoreboard here just to score 3 of the sides, and I just find that by making a pocket this way it just gives you a little bit more room than if you just glued a piece of paper straight down. And then I'm using the Fabri-Tac again to glue it into the middle section of my folio, just because it's permanent and I know that this isn't going to come off. I've glued my pocket in place, and you can see that you just have a little bit more room by doing a pocket this way. So I'm now working on a tag, and I've pulled out this paper here from the pack with elephants on, and I've just got a tag that I'd already had in my stash. So I'm just cutting the paper to size, and again using Fabri-Tac to glue it down. And because my tag already had an eyelet in it, I'm just using this Chinese tool here to re-punch the hole. And I've grabbed a piece of turquoise sari silk just to place through it. My pocket is looking a bit plain, so I grabbed the box of sari scraps that I had from Love Me Blue, and I've pulled out a few, and I'm just trialling them now just to see which one is going to look the best. And I opt for this piece here just because the colours are absolutely perfect for that paper that's in the background. So I'm just trimming the edges before I stick it down. So I'm making another tag for the pocket, and this time I'm using some of the paper scraps that I've got left over. Now the hardest thing is deciding where you want the pieces to go, so I'm just auditioning these first, and then you'll see me reach for my iPad and take a photograph, because you'll never remember where you had them placed when you come to glue them down otherwise. So that's just a useful tip for you. Now for this tag, I use a glue stick to stick the papers down, just because it gives me a little bit more wiggle room than if I was using the Fabri-Tac. I'm turning this into a tag shape by cutting off one of the corners and then using the piece that I've cut off to cut the same shape the other side. This just makes sure that both sides are even, and then I'm using my crocodile just to punch a hole. Now I decided to swap the sari fabric that was in the elephant tag over just because I found some turquoise ribbon with sequins on that just looks absolutely gorgeous on the elephants. This just looks so pretty, I love it. And for those of you that are wondering what the point of a tag is, they just provide space on the back for you to journal on, and of course they look really pretty in the folio as well. And to finish things off, I just want to add some kind of closure to my journal. So I'm just punching a hole in that end flap there and adding an eyelet, which will stop the cardboard from tearing. And then I just need to go and find some ribbon. Now I decided I wanted to jazz the notebook up slightly, and I found this beautiful applique in the boho scraps that I had from Love Me Blue. So I'm just gluing it down with some Fabri-Tac. I'm gluing it whilst it's in the pocket because I just want this to be a feature of the folio when it's open. And then I just end up weighting the notebook down with a tub of gesso just to hold that applique in place whilst the glue dries. Now I'm using some ribbon that I picked up from the scrap store. This is just waste ribbon. You can see that it's been used for something because it's full of holes, but it just looks absolutely perfect for this folio. Now I had a bit more of this turquoise ribbon left, so I've punched another hole with my crocodile on the spine, and I've attached one of my boho beads to the ribbon. So you can see I'm just threading it through, and I just secure it with a knot on the inside. So here is my finished journal. I am feeling really proud of myself for this. I've never attempted anything like this before, and so this is what it looks like. You can see that I've hung one of my boho beads on the side, and I've used this trim. This is just junk from the scrap store. You can see that it's got holes in the side. It's been used before, but you know, this is a junk journal and I think it's perfect. So that's what it looks like on the front, and that's what it's like on the back. Just so pretty. I keep standing up to see that I am in frame. So let's take a look inside. So here is the inside of my folio, and I think it looks absolutely beautiful. This has given me a couple of headaches along the way. It really has. All to do with the blasted sewing machine. Whatever was I thinking? This is my notebook, take 2, because I completely ruined the first one. I'll show you in a second. But I'm really pleased with how this looks. I love the detail of the stitching. I think it adds so much to a project. But I thought I would sew the signature in the first journal in by hand. So this is it, and you know, on the outside it looks fine, but oh my goodness, prepare yourselves. Look what I did. I started off with a straight stitch and it looked like a dog's hind leg, so I tried to fix it by adding a row of zigzag stitches, and that just looked even worse, and so I thought, well, I'll add a couple more, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse until the point, you know, that I thought I can't show people that. So if anybody out there has a phobia of the sewing machine like me, don't give up, because I love the way that you know, attempt number 2 turned out, and I just love that little applique on the front. I just think it's absolutely beautiful. So these are the tags, and again, one of these tags gave me a headache as well, this one here, because my bobbin ran out of thread partway through. So I threaded the bobbin, no problem at all, and managed to, you know, pull the thread up, and that was fine, but I then rethreaded the sewing machine wrong, and it all got tangled up on this bottom row here. Now luckily at least it was the bottom, because I was able to just chop a piece off and start again. So you know, I really am having some teething problems with this, but I'm getting there. So you know, Debbie Cole, for any of you others that have gone out and bought a sewing machine, you know, after last week's video, persevere with it. You will get there in the end. If I can do it, anybody can do it. So that is my folio. I just love the boho bead. I think it looks equally as nice on the inside as it does on the outside. And so that is this week's finished project. So I hope part 2 didn't disappoint you. I'll leave the link to part 1 of the video in the description box below, and I'll also leave the link to Tracie Fox's video as well, because it was Tracie that inspired me to have a go at doing one of these, and I'm really glad that I did, you know, despite all of the faux pas that I made along the way. So just to recap, it's Junk It Up this week, and the prompt is the mood board itself. We're using the mood board as the prompt for all of the projects this month. So I look forward to seeing how everybody else decides to interpret it. There have been some wonderful ideas being shared in the Facebook group so far, just, you know, real eye candy. And if anybody wants to follow along with our weekly prompts, then I'll leave the link to our Facebook group in the description box below. So take care everyone, and I'll see you all again soon. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already. Take care.